Now, the very day of recording this, it is really ironic that one of the big three, as I would call them, as far as Zelda videos go, being King K, Matthew Matosis, and Liam Triforce. I made a comment in my attempt at a Zelda 1 video, the script that I mentioned, about why you don't really see many people make videos about them, namely those three who are obviously very, very steeped in Zelda knowledge and have played all of them through and through countless times. But, of course, the day that I'm getting ready to put this out, none other than Liam Triforce does put up a video about it, and a really, really good one and insightful one at that. And it did kind of make me relieved that I didn't go through with my own, because as many people's would be, mine definitely would have been inferior to his. But I do take issue, or at least kind of argue against at least a couple of points that he makes in there. Namely, the concept of bombing every single wall, and in both the overworld and dungeons, to know whether or not there's a secret there, is something that I really took issue with in the overworld, and just how ridiculous some of the secrets can be in both the dungeons and the overworld. And he does make a pretty sound point as to why that's not the case. Like, you can only bomb walls on the north-facing side of the map, or the screen rather, and that you can only bomb smooth surfaces. There would never be like a secret or an entrance on like a jagged edge of the wall or the mountain in the overworld, things like that. And he's 100% correct, but at the time of playing it, something like that, and, you know, obviously maybe it's just me, but I feel like I'm surely there's somebody out there listening right now that's not news to. But it hit me, and I was like, wow, that is a great point. But at no point while playing the game for, probably, 2 weeks and nothing else, that never occurred to me. And then the other thing is similar, but the concept of burning every tree or bush in the overworld really bothered me, because I think there are 2 secrets in the overworld that are just, random trees. Like, you would have no idea unless you actually tried. And there is one dungeon, just the one that I had to look up, ironically, that is underneath a tree that you would have to burn, but it is in a totally sensible place. I defended it in my video. I didn't think it was, or in the video I almost made, rather, I didn't have a problem with it at all. But I believe there's a heart piece, and there's something else that's hidden in the overworld under one of these, thousands of trees that you could try to burn. And at the time, that makes sense. There's not a lot, if any, games like this. So players, you probably took the time to burn lots of trees in the overworld to see what you could possibly find. But I really had an issue getting past justifying that, and other than the dungeon entrance, I definitely didn't. And I still, even after a 47-minute just amazing video, I still take issue with defending that one particular thing. Another one is, so I guess to give some context, so I tried to stay, or somehow have managed to stay almost completely spoiler-free away from Zelda 1 over my life, and part of that is because not a lot of people make videos over that. So some of the more obtuse secrets weren't spoiled for me. Unfortunately, the eastmost peninsula, and just the wall that you're supposed to know is a false wall at the northeastern corner of the map, that was spoiled for me a long time ago, but plenty of others weren't, and I discovered a lot in that game on my own. But some of the most important things, like the magic sword and the power bracelet, I did not. So I found the magic sword on my own, which is somewhat provided through an in-game hint about finding an old man at the graveyard, but I don't have an issue with trying to move every single grave, because there's only 6 screens worth. But I also think to myself, if I had never played Ocarina of Time and knew, or Majora's Mask even, and knew about moving graves, or just that graves are interactive in basically every Zelda game after, whether that's a Link to the Past, even Oracle of Ages, just so on. Would I have thought to do that? And I can't say that I would, but, with the objects in the dungeons and the overworld, that's pretty much all you can do is move them or blow them up. So I can get behind that one. But as far as being able to actually pick up the magic sword, I had to, after I gave up on the video, that is, I did have to, or decide to look that one up, and I won't give spoilers, but I didn't really care for, like, the progression gate behind not being able to pick up the sword, and it is directly tied to some of the more obtuse secrets in the overworld, and that just, kind of helped satisfy my own argument for me. So I realize that's kind of an echo chamber mentality, but it is a great game, and I 100% recommend playing it without a guide. Even if you already have played it with one, multiple times, I recommend grabbing the manual, grabbing the map that would have came with the game, and, really trying to just use those to get through the game. And what I ended up doing for the parts of the overworld that aren't on the map, I ended up, printing out, a map and filling those in. And then for the dungeons, up until I would find the dungeon map, I got out a piece of graph paper for each one and drew my own map. And my son, who's 4, thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I can just imagine, being a kid myself in 1986, and that's what it would be like if you or your parent were playing that game. Like, that's, outside of calling the Nintendo hotline at probably almost $1 a minute or something like that. That's what it would have been. And it is a really, really fun experience if you just shut off the modern conveniences of using a guide or giving into the guide, and just embracing everything that game had to offer at the time. So, like I said, sad to say that I went so far to write such a story and such a script and record all of that, but now with Liam's video coming out, I'm at peace with myself, because it definitely wouldn't have compared to that, but it gave me some things to ponder that he definitely would have, made a counter argument for, with some of the issues I have. But I said the trees and the bombing of the walls, I can't really get behind those. I think that was just a little too much. But I think the other thing was the combat. I've seen, after the fact now, plenty of videos watching people just mow down Dark Nuts with nothing but a sword, no bombs, and power to them. But it was as just one of the most rage-inducing things I've ever been through. Going through all of that, getting, up to either or a mini boss. Some of the mini bosses in this game, they escalate from bosses of previous dungeons, which is a great game mechanic, but again, just adds to the Dark Souls level of crushing difficulty that I felt playing with this toward the end. And I just, like I said, it's not something I could continue to subject myself through, but I'm glad I had the experience, and that I know how far the series has come. But like I said, you should definitely check out his video. I think it just went up today, or probably yesterday by the time I have this uploaded. It is a great breakdown of what Zelda 1 actually meant to game design and the world of hand-holding and tutorials and giving in to accessibility that gaming has largely succumbed to these days. It is an excellent voice of reason as to, why we should maybe not necessarily want to move completely back in that direction, but why we should embrace some of those older games that, really held you accountable for participating in them. We talk a lot about immersion with games today, and that kind of comes from a sensory perspective. Like, how does the game look? How does it sound? Obviously, it still has to play well, but back then, there wasn't anything else to it other than how did the game play. That was your immersion, and no other game can capture that as well as Zelda 1 can. But I thank you all so much for checking out this video. If you stayed to listen to this, I appreciate even more of your time, and I really think you should go check out Liam's video, and looking forward to sharing some thoughts on Breath of the Wild moving forward. I know it's a pretty blatant deviation from what I've typically been doing with the N64 stuff, but I've been waiting to play this game a long time, and I'm probably going to be in it for a while. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.